talk about Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, who are currently 6-7 on the year. Now, they still have a chance to bounce back and to win this division in the AFC North, but it's going to be very tough. They've lost their last 2 games, but on top of that, they've lost to division rivals. They lost against the Cincinnati Bengals 2 weeks ago. And in yesterday's game, you lost against the Steelers, and this was massive. Whoever won this game was going to have sole possession of the division for the time being. But in my opinion, it doesn't even matter if the Baltimore Ravens were able to go out there and advance to the postseason. They are clearly limited with this coaching staff and with the injuries with their defense and their offense as well. And before I get into this season, the best chance for the Baltimore Ravens to win the Super Bowl came in 2023. That was a phenomenal season. You had a very good offense with Lamar Jackson. Isaiah Likely, go-to tight end that season. Zay Flowers was a monster. But you had one of the best defenses in the NFL. In my opinion, they had the best defense when they had Mike Macdonald calling plays. Tremendous defensive coordinator. The Ravens were so dominant. They went to the AFC Championship game against Kansas City. And you were the home team. And they lost this game 17-10. Let me say that again. They held Patrick Mahomes to 17 points and they still lost. You had the miscues with Lamar Jackson having an interception in the red zone, throws the football into triple coverage. Zay Flowers has a chance to score. He fumbles in the red zone. Another big time play to Zay Flowers. He pushes down the cornerback, 15-yard penalty. Just dumb miscues by Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers. But your defense did everything possible to win that game. Now that offseason, we had a lot of reports come out that Seattle may move on from Pete Carroll, and that is what they did. And they need to bring in a brand new head coach. They had some interviews with Mike Macdonald. He went to become the head coach with the Seattle Seahawks. And you look at Seattle today, they're one of the best teams in the NFL. They're phenomenal in the NFC. Currently, they have the first seed in the NFC. That is how dominant they have been. Mike Macdonald is a tremendous head coach. He's a tremendous defensive mind. But you bring in Zachary Orr. He's now the brand new defensive coordinator going into the brand new season. And Todd Monken. This was a man that only ran the football 8 times with Gus Edwards. You barely ran the football against Kansas City. So Baltimore goes out. They bring in one of the best running backs that we've seen in a very long time. Derrick Henry comes over from Tennessee Titans. He's a free agent. Now you have Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. Mark Andrews was dealing with an injury the season before. But you have Lamar, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, a healthy Rashard Bateman. That team should win a Super Bowl just for their offense alone. And you had the best defense in the NFL the year before. The Ravens got off to a rocky start last year. For the first 10 games, they had the worst passing defense in the NFL. Well, that's odd. When Coach Macdonald was calling plays, they had the best defense, passing-wise, and especially against the run. But with Zachary Orr, the defense didn't look the same. They were still special against the run, top 5 rushing defense, but the passing defense wasn't there. And they were still winning games. So you bring in a defensive consultant to help out Zachary Orr, who is not a good defensive coordinator. The reason why he has this job, he's a former linebacker with the Baltimore Ravens, and he was a very good player. And Coach Harbaugh, he loves him. But he's not the right guy for this job. But you bring in a defensive consultant, your defense performs better. And that's a great situation. You run the table, you win this division. And remember, Todd Monken, this is a man a lot of people are calling out. They're saying, how do you not run the football more against Kansas City? You put so much pressure on Lamar Jackson. You have a top rushing offense. So against the Steelers and that playoff game last year, they ran them off the field. You're the home team. You have Raven fans. They're hyped up. They're saying, let's go. You ran the football constantly with Derrick Henry and the same with Lamar Jackson, and you worked off of play action, and you got the football to Isaiah Likely and the same with Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers. You control the line of scrimmage. But you run into the Buffalo Bills, and you lose this game in the playoffs. And it came down to a 2-point conversion attempt with Mark Andrews. But at the same time, you had costly turnovers with Lamar Jackson in this game. The clock management wasn't the best with Coach Harbaugh. And you could talk about bad moments happening to the Baltimore Ravens. The players haven't played the best in the postseason. They're unprepared majority of the time, and the coaching hasn't helped them out. And we fast forward to today. The Ravens started off with a 1-5 record. And the reason why the Ravens had a 1-5 record on the year, you had injuries with Lamar Jackson to his hamstring, injuries to your defense. But even when Lamar Jackson was fully healthy to start the season, you were still losing important football games. I go back to week 1 against the Buffalo Bills. They had this game won. Whenever you score 40 points in the NFL, that should be an automatic win. But that was not the case for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, 14-19, 209 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and he had a rushing touchdown. He was phenomenal on the day. Josh Allen, he was phenomenal as well. Derrick Henry had the costly fumble. But at the same time, the defense was so bad, and you have very good defensive players. You cannot hold on to that lead. You lose this game 41-40. You allow 41 points opening day against the Buffalo Bills, a team that you just lost to in the playoffs a couple months ago. And you can chalk it up. It's the first game of the year. Let Zachary Orr get right. But this is his second year being a defensive coordinator. You go against the Cleveland Browns. You win this game 41-17. It's the Browns. Congratulations. You have that division win in your back pocket. And I'm not being sarcastic here. This is a very good win for the Ravens. We're in week 2. Now you're 1-1. You go against the Lions, and something's off here. Lamar Jackson's 21-27, 288 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He did hold on to the football for a very long time. He got sacked 7 times. And we'll talk about the offensive line protection here in the next couple of minutes. But the rushing offense of the Lions was dominant. Over 280 rushing yards with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. The gap responsibilities were non-existent. And that's on Zachary Orr. They didn't make adjustments at halftime. And you lose this game against the Lions. Even though the final score was 38-30, the score was worse than this. It was really 38-23. Your defense wasn't dominant enough, and you have very good defensive players on that side of the ball. You run to Kansas City. Lamar goes down with a hamstring injury. Now, let's not forget, against the Buffalo Bills, 3 total touchdowns. Against the Cleveland Browns, 4 passing touchdowns. Against the Detroit Lions, he had 3 passing touchdowns as well. Lamar Jackson was a man on a mission. Even in the losses there, he's trying to keep the team head above water. But against Kansas City, he goes down with this hamstring injury, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. He hasn't looked the same since coming back from that hamstring injury outside that game against the Miami Dolphins. And before we go more in depth with Lamar Jackson here, he goes down with his hamstring injury. You bring in Cooper Rush. Now let's pause here for a second. Tyler Huntley, he's a very good backup quarterback with the Ravens. He has a similar skill set to Lamar Jackson. But you have Cooper Rush come in. You're letting him be the backup quarterback against Kansas City. He finishes out this game 9-13, 52 passing yards. Okay, that's solid. It's a complete blowout anyway. But you would assume the next week, okay, Tyler Huntley, we have him on the roster. He's going to be our starting quarterback until Lamar Jackson comes back. This is a man that had some success when Lamar Jackson went down a few years ago. No, that's not the case. Against the Houston Texans, you let him start this game. He was 14-20, 179 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That's on one man here. Even though Cooper Rush was terrible, he deserves a lot of blame. Why on earth is he in this game against the Houston Texans? Where the hell is Tyler Huntley? That's on Coach Harbaugh. So you run it back the next week once again against the Los Angeles Rams. He's 11-19, 72 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. Then you throw your hands up. You say, okay, you know what? Tyler Huntley, come in and help us. And Tyler Huntley, he gave you a boost. He was 10-15, 68 passing yards. He did get sacked 4 times, but the offense had more juice with him in the game. Why is Cooper Rush, a prototypical quarterback, working in a run-heavy system where the quarterback has to move around? He has to move off the spot. That's on Coach Harbaugh, and he knows better. This is your 18th year as a head coach with the Baltimore Ravens. That's coaching malpractice. And then the next week, We get a lot of reports, Lamar Jackson, he'll be back against the Bears. That wasn't the case. They did that to basically throw the Bears off their game. You start Tyler Huntley, and guess what? You win this game 30-16. Tyler Huntley had 186 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. He got it done on the ground as well. And I'm not saying you put in Tyler Huntley, that he's going to be able to go out there. He's going to win those games against the Houston Texans. He's going to win that game against Kansas City. But you had a better chance with him. And we know that he can go out there, and we know that he could be a very good backup. We have seen this before. And Coach Harbaugh was the head coach. But Lamar comes back against the Miami Dolphins, 4 passing touchdowns. You win this game 28-6. Then you go against the Minnesota Vikings. You win this game 27-19. But Lamar doesn't look the same. Remember, he suffered a hamstring injury against Kansas City. He had an ankle injury in practice, but he's playing through it. And you can clearly see that something's wrong here. He's not running to the edge anymore. He's not beating those edge defenders. He's more so just standing inside the pocket, just trying to make plays with his arm. What makes Lamar Jackson, he can run around. His legs are his superpower. And he's a very good passer. I know that a lot of people that come out and say he can't pass the football. He can. He's great in between the numbers. He's improved every single year since 2019, his rookie season. But Lamar Jackson is at his best when he's able to run outside the pocket and make plays behind the line of scrimmage. And you're able to get away with a couple of things here. Against teams like the Minnesota Vikings with terrible quarterback play with J.J. McCarthy. You go against the Cleveland Browns. You're down in this game 10-16. Shedeur Sanders comes in, rookie quarterback, didn't get any reps. You put a lot of pressure on him. You take advantage of that situation. You win this game. But it's how you won. You're down 10-16 when Dylan Gabriel was in. Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP. We can't score that many points against his defense, and I get it. The Browns have a top 5 defense in the NFL. But you have enough weapons on the offensive end to at least put up 17 points by now. You go against the New York Jets, a slow-paced game. Once again, Lamar Jackson, 13 of 23. 0 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The week before against the Cleveland Browns, 0 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So now Lamar Jackson is going 3 games without a passing touchdown here. Something's off. You don't make adjustments on the offensive side. You just let him play through it. You could run the football more, condense the field, use your tight ends more, and Mark Andrews, and the same with Isaiah Likely, and the same with Zay Flowers at the wide receiving position. And I get it. It's not all on the coaching staff here. Lamar has had some bad moments this season. He's put the football in harm's way. But against the Cincinnati Bengals, this was the worst coach game that the Ravens have had all around, defensively and on the offensive end. Derrick Henry averaged 6 yards a carry in this game. You only gave him the ball 10 times. Lamar Jackson had a bunch of fumbles in this game that just made you scratch your head. And he had a costly interception. Zay Flowers had a fumble as well. Derrick Henry had more receiving yards in this game against the Bengals than Zay Flowers had. Zay Flowers had 2 catches, 6 receiving yards on 7 targets. You lose this game against Cincinnati 32-14. You lay a huge egg. And yesterday's game against the Steelers, we can talk about the situation with Isaiah Likely. Was it a touchdown? Was it not a touchdown? But you had other moments in this game to take over and win, and you never did. We're talking about the Steelers offense that has struggled to get the deep ball going. They didn't struggle yesterday. Aaron Rodgers has all day inside the pocket. He's 42 years old. He's moving around like he's 26. Getting the football to DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin III. And you couldn't do anything to stop it. Jaylen Warren is wide open for a touchdown. No one is in his vicinity. And I'm just looking around. And I'm saying very good play calls by Arthur Smith. But it's Arthur Smith. You're getting outcoached by Arthur Smith. That's on Zachary Orr. And you lost this game 27-22. We could talk about the bad call by the referee. Was it a catch? Was it not a catch? Was it a touchdown? Whatever. You still had a chance to win this game, and you did not take advantage of it. And the Steelers, they looked like a team yesterday that wanted more than the Baltimore Ravens. And something has to give. This is one of the most talented rosters in terms of just having names on your team. Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP, even though he hasn't played well over the last few games. But we know what Lamar Jackson brings to the table. Derrick Henry, still one of the most talented running backs in this league. Zay Flowers, who you spent a first-round pick on. Rashard Bateman, solid player. DeAndre Hopkins, definitely in the back end of his career, but he should be a very good number 4 target on this team behind those receivers that I just named, and the same with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. And Isaiah Likely has missed time this season. You have Ronnie Stanley, very good left tackle. Tyler Linderbaum, very good center. Now I feel for Coach Harbaugh in this situation. You have a terrible player at the right guard position. Daniel Falele, he may be the worst offensive lineman in the NFL. And I mean this when I say this. I'm going to put his picture up here. He is terrible. He's horrible. Every single game this year, I'm not exaggerating, when they put a twist his way, he's completely confused. He doesn't block anyone. It was a situation in yesterday's game. They have TJ Watt rush from the interior. Lamar Jackson gets the ball in his hands. He just stays stuck in place, and he's just looking around. It was a situation 2 weeks ago against the Bengals. They run quick game on him. He's facing Lamar Jackson. Why is an offensive lineman facing a quarterback? I just don't understand it. He is too big to be this bad. We have had bad offensive line play with Evan Neal. If you listen to this channel for quite some time, you guys know how I feel about Evan Neal. He's terrible. Daniel is worse than Evan Neal. He can't block anyone. And it puts so much stress on the rest of the offensive line. And back to Coach Harbaugh here. He has been terrible in every single game this season. Why is he still a starter? I find it hard to believe that the backup right guard is worse than him. If the backup right guard is worse than him, bring in someone from the practice squad. He is downright terrible. Majority of the pressures and majority of the sacks are coming from the right side. And it's not the right tackle, it's the right guard. And the attention to detail is not there with the offensive line play. They run so much scat protection, one-on-one situations, which is crazy. You're putting Daniel in a one-on-one situation. So imagine him against a defensive end or against a defensive tackle. He's going to get cooked every single time. This coaching staff has no idea what the hell they're doing. And that's including Todd Monken here. You give Ali majority of the carries in the second half over Derrick Henry. And I just shake my head. The defense has played better. They made that trade to bring in Gilman from the Chargers, and that was a win for both sides here. Owe did not do much for the Baltimore Ravens this season, so you trade him away to the Chargers. He's been a better player. Gilman has been very good in coverage. You now have Kyle Hamilton close to the line of scrimmage. But let me explain why they made that trade. Kyle Hamilton last year, when they were having problems in the secondary, they put him at single high safety to have the communication better on the back end. It was a lot of miscommunication. Usually, the defensive coordinator, he'll hold a meeting with his secondary and with his linebackers, and he'll say, hey, this is what I'm looking at. This is what I want. If we're playing cover one man, I need my safety at this area of the field. I need him in the middle. If you see a deep ball to the left, I need you to flip your hips. You see a deep ball to the right, I need you to flip your hips. We need that communication. If it's covered 2 man, I want my cornerbacks here. Some corners can press, others may not. But that's why I need you in the single high situations. Kyle Hamilton was able to make that huge impact last year. Now you have him at the single high position early on this year. It's getting exposed because teams caught on. And he's so versatile. He is so amazing. He can play linebacker. He can play slot corner. He may even be able to play outside corner. That's how dynamic he is. So you play him close to the line of scrimmage to help out your secondary, but you're masking the problems of how bad Zachary Orr is. Now, this is where I do feel for Zachary Orr. They don't have a consistent pass rusher. Kyle Van Noy, his age is showing. He's dealt with injuries over the last few years. He did have one very good season in Baltimore, but it's time to retire sooner than later. Roquan Smith is still one of the best coverage linebackers in the game in the interior. But that injury with Matabuke has really hurt this team in terms of stopping the run on a consistent basis and getting to the passer. He suffered a brutal neck injury early on this year, and he may not play ever again. I hope that's not the case. But with this team not having a consistent pass rush, it is now starting to hurt your secondary. You did bring in Draymond Jones, 6 sacks on the season, but he's not a game changer. They don't have that TJ Watt. They don't have that Myles Garrett, that Max Crosby, that Micah Parsons. They need that guy on this defense. You have guys like Mike Green, who's young. David Ojabo only has a half a sack on the year. David Ojabo is not going to go out there. He's not going to be a franchise pass rusher. He's 25 years old. I just don't see it. Adisa Isaac is more so of a rotational pass rusher at best, and he's on IR right now. But the secondary, having Nate Wiggins, one of the best cornerbacks in the game this season, Marlon Humphrey, and Chidobe Awuzie, those are not bad players. Your defense should be better than this. You allow so many splash plays yesterday to the Steelers, so many splash plays to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. This is the Baltimore Ravens we're talking about. You go into that locker room, as soon as you look over to the right, play like a Raven. That's the standard with this organization. And I've said this many a times this season. I'm going to say it once again. It's not just the Baltimore Ravens here. It's the entire AFC North. I think every single team would benefit from bringing in a brand new coach. And Coach Harbaugh is on that list. He still has some very good moments, but you're not going to win big with him as a head coach in this era of the NFL. He's had a lot of great years with the Baltimore Ravens. And the same with Coach Tomlin with the Steelers. I don't want to come on here and basically say he's been a terrible head coach. He's been carried by the players. He helped develop those players. He helped draft those players. But it seems like he has regressed as a head coach, and he's not the same head coach he once was. We always talk about players. He's washed up. He's not the same player he once was. He needs to retire. The same thing can happen to people in the front office. The same thing can happen to individuals on the field, and the same thing can happen to head coaches, offensive coordinators, and defensive coordinators. But having Zachary Orr as your defensive coordinator, and you saw how bad he was last season, that is strike number one. Going for 2 a couple of years ago, so many times, it just didn't make sense. That was also another strike with Coach Harbaugh. This team would benefit from a brand new voice in the building. So even if they were able to go out there and run the table and advance to the postseason, I just don't have that much faith in the Baltimore Ravens. And it's also important to bring this up. Lamar Jackson has been the starting quarterback with this team since the back half of the season of 2019. You have to win big sooner than later. He's not getting any younger, and his playing style is very unique. Eventually, he's not going to be able to run around as much as he's able to right now. But this is just a very unfortunate situation for the Baltimore Ravens. Whenever you need them to win big, they haven't been able to come up big for you. And that's on Lamar Jackson. That's on this entire roster. And that's the same with the coaching staff. But let me know in the comment section below. How do you feel about Baltimore, and do you view their Super Bowl window being closed? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If like video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys to stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.